How on earth did Claude become ChatGPT's worst nightmare? Picture this. It's November 2025, and on paper, ChatGPT is absolutely dominating. They have hundreds of millions of users worldwide. They've become the face of AI. When people think of artificial intelligence, they think of ChatGPT. But something's keeping OpenAI's executives up at night. There's a competitor that makes 8 times more money per user than they do. A competitor that's systematically stealing their most valuable customers. A competitor that investors now believe has a better long-term business model. That competitor is Claude. Today, I'm going to walk you through the 5 strategic moves that transform Claude from an underdog into a genuine threat to OpenAI. We're counting down from number 5 to number 1, the strategy that changes everything. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how Claude turned their biggest weakness into their most powerful advantage. Let's get into it. Starting at number 5, Claude built overwhelming technical superiority where enterprises actually need it. Here's what really matters in enterprise AI. It's not about flashy features or speed, it's about reliability, accuracy, and handling complex tasks that businesses depend on. Claude's context window can process up to 1 million tokens in a single conversation. ChatGPT maxes out at 128,000. In practical terms, Claude can analyze an entire 50,000-line codebase at once, understanding all the connections and dependencies. ChatGPT would need roughly 15 separate conversations, losing context along the way. For enterprises managing complex systems worth millions, that difference is everything. But it goes deeper. Claude achieved significantly higher accuracy on mission-critical tasks. Studies show ChatGPT generates hallucinations, completely fabricated information, at rates that become problematic for serious business use. In specialized domains like medicine, error rates were concerning enough that regulated industries had to think twice. Claude built for accuracy first, even if it meant sacrificing speed or features. Developers using Claude report needing far fewer iterations to get production-ready code. That's a competitive advantage. This technical edge became Claude's calling card in enterprise sales. While ChatGPT won on brand recognition, Claude won on the metrics enterprise buyers actually evaluate. Can it handle complex workloads? Will it be accurate for mission-critical tasks? Can we trust it with important operations? The answer was yes, and that opened doors. Number 4, Claude secured strategic partnerships that gave them distribution everywhere. OpenAI made an exclusive bet on Microsoft. It's a powerful partnership. Microsoft has a massive enterprise reach through Azure and Office 365. But it's also limiting because it ties OpenAI to a single cloud ecosystem. Anthropic took a different approach. They secured $4 billion from Amazon and $2 billion from Google. Money was only part of it. The real focus was the distribution strategy. Now, Claude is integrated across Amazon Web Services, embedded in Google Cloud, and being built into Amazon's Alexa Plus. For enterprises that operate in multi-cloud environments, which is increasingly common as companies avoid vendor lock-in, Claude is available everywhere they need it to be. While ChatGPT is deeply integrated into one ecosystem, Claude positioned itself across multiple ecosystems. It's the difference between having one very powerful ally and having allies everywhere. Number 3, Claude systematically captured the developer community, and this strategy was absolutely critical. Here's why this matters so much. Developers are incredibly influential in enterprise software decisions. When they find a tool that genuinely makes them more productive, they don't adopt it quietly. They evangelize it. They demand that their companies use it. They become your best salespeople. Claude gave developers something they desperately needed: the ability to analyze massive code bases in a single conversation instead of breaking everything into chunks and losing context. For software engineers working on complex systems, this was transformative. The results speak for themselves. Within months, every major AI-powered coding platform made the same decision. GitHub rebuilt their Copilot coding assistant on Claude. Cursor made Claude the default. Ripley switched to Claude. It wasn't even close. Claude became the developer's choice. When Anthropic launched their autonomous coding product, it generated $500 million in revenue in just 3 months. That's not marketing hype, that's developers voting with their wallets because they found the tool they actually needed. By winning developers first, Claude created a powerful ground-up adoption engine that pushed Claude into enterprises through the people who actually build the software. Number 2, and this is where Claude built something ChatGPT can't easily replicate: constitutional AI. Most AI systems, including ChatGPT, use reinforcement learning that creates what engineers call a black box. You can't easily trace exactly why the AI made a specific decision. For consumer products, that's fine. But for enterprises deploying AI in regulated industries, it's a massive problem. Anthropic built constitutional AI, a framework where ethical principles are coded into the model's architecture from the ground up. The AI is designed to be transparent, explainable, and auditable from day one. Here's why this matters in the real world. Imagine you're a compliance officer at a major bank or hospital. If your AI gives bad advice, generates biased outputs, or suggests something illegal, you're personally on the hook. When regulators show up asking, "Why did your AI make that decision?" you need an answer. With ChatGPT's black box approach, providing that explanation is genuinely difficult. With Claude's constitutional AI, you have clear documentation and audit trails that compliance teams can actually show to regulators. This positioning opened doors that were essentially closed to ChatGPT. Major consulting firms with hundreds of thousands of employees, pharmaceutical companies managing drug research, financial institutions processing trillions in assets. These aren't customers who choose based on brand recognition. They choose based on whether they can sleep at night knowing their AI deployment won't create catastrophic risk. As AI regulation intensifies globally, and it absolutely will, Claude's transparency advantage becomes more valuable every single day. They built regulatory compliance into their competitive mode. Before we move on to the number 1 strategy, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. And here we are at number 1. The strategy that ties everything together and explains why Claude is genuinely ChatGPT's worst nightmare. While everyone else was chasing ChatGPT's viral consumer strategy, Anthropic asked a completely different question. What if we don't compete for consumers at all? What if we build exclusively for the customers who pay the most, stay the longest, and create the most defensible advantages? This is the core strategic decision that makes everything else work. It's not just about having enterprise customers, it's about optimizing every single decision around enterprise needs from day one. That's why they built constitutional AI, because enterprises needed explainability. That's why they prioritized developer tools, because developers drive enterprise adoption. That's why they focused on accuracy over speed, because enterprises can't tolerate errors in mission-critical systems. That's why they secured multi-cloud partnerships, because enterprises operate across different cloud platforms. Every decision flowed from the single strategic choice: be the AI that enterprises trust with their most important operations. And here's the remarkable result. Claude makes 8 times more revenue per user than ChatGPT. Let that sink in. In just 18 months, Anthropic's valuation went from $18 billion to $183 billion, a 10-fold increase. But what really matters is that investors are giving Anthropic a higher premium relative to their revenue than they're giving OpenAI. They're essentially saying, "We believe this business model is fundamentally more valuable over the long term." Anthropic's revenue is growing 5 times faster than OpenAI's. If these trajectories continue, analysts are projecting that Claude could actually surpass ChatGPT in total revenue within just a few years, despite having a fraction of the users. Here's why this is ChatGPT's nightmare. Consumer markets are vulnerable to competition and commoditization. When switching costs are low and alternatives are abundant, loyalty becomes fragile. What happens when 5 new AI chatbots launch next year with compelling features, but enterprise markets are sticky? Once you've deployed AI across tens of thousands of employees, integrated it into systems, trained teams, and passed compliance audits, you're not switching because a competitor dropped their price. The switching costs are too high and the risks are too great. So there you have it, the 5 strategies that made Claude ChatGPT's worst nightmare. If this breakdown changed how you think about AI competition and business strategy, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. This is the Byte Chronicle, and I'll see you in the next one.